Good afternoon and welcome to CCN Midday News. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 7th of July. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms contracts COVID-19. The justices rule states can bind presidential electors' votes. And a Texas GOP power broker left governor a voicemail demanding that guards shoot to kill protesters. The warrant authorizing the raid on Breonna Taylor was part of a Louisville gentrification plan. And the woman who called the cops on a black man birdwatching in Central Park now faces charges. And lastly, Jimmy John's employee staged a mock lynching using a noose made of dough. Let's get to the news. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms announced on Monday that she had tested positive for the COVID-19. Bottoms is the first term as a mayor has risen to the prominence during the COVID-19 pandemic. She has been noted for her early criticism of the Republican Georgia Governor Brian Kemp on his slowness to order Georgians to shelter in place and his quickness to lift that order. She was an early and vocal supporter of the presumptuous Democratic nominee Joe Biden, speaking on his behalf in Iowa before the state's caucus. The former vice president has been considering Bottoms as his possible vice presidential running mate on his own presidential bid for the White House. Bottoms has supported protests against police brutality and racial injustice that have been widespread in Atlanta. She also urged protesters to get tested for the virus. So here's part of my side commentary, this portion where I talk about the stories that I've done for this afternoon. So Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms has also the one after the governor had opened up, Governor Kemp had reopened the state. She was against it, and then once people started to, I guess, try to go as life as usual, she then recanted and said, the reopening wasn't as bad as she thought it was going to be. And now to come to find out that she and her husband she is tested positive for the COVID-19 coronavirus, and she wants her husband and the rest of her family to get retested. And then she asked that the protesters, people who were involved in the protest, to also get tested. Just brings to the reality the seriousness of this virus, and that we can't take it for granted because we don't necessarily know how it can be contracted. So it just brings the reality home that everybody is vulnerable to this disease, and we should all take it seriously. I just found that to be a bit interesting, but hey, what do I know? In a decision favored with references to Hamilton and Veep, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously Monday that states can require presidential electors to back their state popular vote winner in electoral college. The ruling in the case in Washington State and Colorado just under 4 months before the 2020 election leaves in place laws in 32 states, and the District of Columbia that bind electors to the vote of the popular vote winner, as electors almost always do anyway. So-called fairness elections or electors have not been critical to the outcome of a presidential election, but that could change in a race decided by just a few electoral votes. It takes 270 electoral votes to win the presidency. Okay, so here's something I found pretty interesting. The Supreme Court has ruled that the elector from the Electoral College, the elector is the person of the state who actually takes the vote to the college for presidential uh, the presidential vote for a particular state to the Electoral College and cast their ballot for president. Um, the Supreme Court has ruled unanimously that the elector has to vote with their particular state, meaning if the state's popular vote went for Joe Biden or President Trump, that the elector could not change their mind and vote for the other candidate. They would have to follow suit and vote with the popular vote of the people in their state. Now, normally that is what the electors have always done, but in this atmosphere, I think everybody's fearing that people may go rogue and change their mind. So to ensure that no one changes their mind, the Supreme Court has ruled that the electors must do that. Now, I feel like the Electoral College should be abolished because, we're in a day and age where people can research and read and do all these type of things. So I don't think there's no need for it, but who knows? We'll see. In the days after George Floyd's killing in police custody in Minneapolis last month, a massive protest against police brutality spread across Texas and other states. Conservative power broker Steve Hosty of Houston called Governor Abbott, the chief staff, to pass along this message.
Hey, Louise, this is Dr. Hotze, Steve Hotze in Houston. I want you to give a message to the governor. I want to make sure that he has National Guard down here and they have the order to shoot to kill. If any of these son of a bitch people start rioting like they have in Dallas, start tearing down businesses, shoot to kill the son of a bitches. That's the only way you restore order. Kill them.
Which the Texas Tribune obtained Friday via a public information request, came on the weekend of June 6, several days after Abbott activated the Texas National Guard as some of the protesters became violent. It is unclear whether the response and Abbott's office had declined for comment. Okay, so here's my quick commentary on this. I don't know why we continuously be surprised that many of the people in offices do not see it for us, because they don't. The sons of bitches that he's referring to, he's not referring to his grandkids or his own kids or his cousins or anybody that looks like him. The sons of bitches he's referring to are us. He's not too much concerned about anything, and the fact that your first go-to is to kill, eliminate, exterminate people is a bit alarming. You want to talk about reliving the days of World War II, or kind of like Nazism? That's basically on the path in which you're talking when you're talking about, exterminating people for protesting against police brutality, which is ridiculous. And the fact that you have the governor's ear enough to leave a voicemail and his chief of staff to receive it is a bit of a concern. But that's what happens when we don't get out and vote and exercise our own power and our own voice. We have to do more than militarize ourselves and create a militia, which we also have to do as well to protect ourselves and our fellow citizens. But we also need to gain more political clout and be able to move in circles and where they move to eliminate their political power. And that's the only way change can be effective. Police had the man in custody that they were seeking for a narcotics investigation, but a judge still authorized a warrant for Breonna Taylor's apartment. The raid was because police said that the person they had in custody was getting mail at Breonna Taylor's apartment, according to the Journal. However, the lawsuit against the police officers can be linked to a gentrification plan that the city of Louisville outlined to change the face of the city. Lawyers for Breonna Taylor's family allege in court documents filed at the Jefferson County Court on Sunday that the police squad, named Palace-Based Investigations, had misled narcotic detectives to target a home on Elliott Avenue, leading them to believe that they were after some of the city's largest violent crime and drug rings. This story was also pretty interesting and something I believe is going on not only in areas where Breonna Taylor was killed, but throughout a lot of the inner cities now that they've become so popular for other people to move into, as far as feeling hip and what have you. So the warrant that was issued for Breonna Taylor in the lawsuit that the family has put together, they have uncovered that part of this warrant stems from a group in the narcotics department that was dealing with regenification and changing the face of Louisville by removing a lot of its inner city residents so they can change the place around, build new shops, build condos and things of that nature. So they were going around basically terrorizing people to force them to move or to vacate. Personally, I think it's a little more missing from this. Being that she lived in an apartment building, I really didn't understand the reason why the warrant would have been sent to her house unless the address that they had was incorrect and they were looking for an actual physical house dwelling. That would make more sense, because you would want the person to be moved from the house because the property is the land is what you wanted. Being that she lived in an apartment, they would probably have to do that to a whole bunch of apartment places to get them to forcibly move out. Now, I don't really know the nature and all that, but how it would normally work if someone owned property like a house and a larger company wanted it, they would sometimes, if they went the first time and offered a price amount, if they really wanted it and they were trying to push the people out, I could see them coming up with some sort of plan to get people to move, kind of like a fear tactic to get people to move. And maybe that's what they were initially doing, but they were in the wrong address. So that was a bit of a problem. But yeah, it's beginning to come out that there's been a whole system in place to remove people from the inner city of that area, and so they can build condos and change the area around and make it more hip and urban and put more Starbucks and juice bars and things that, like they did in Brooklyn with putting the new stadium there. Before the new stadium was built, they removed a lot of the residents, built the stadium, built some condos and high rises, and now you look at Brooklyn and other places and it doesn't even look the same. So yeah, very interesting, very, very interesting. The white woman who called the cops on a black man who was birdwatching in Central Park will be prosecuted, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office said on Monday. Amy Cooper, the woman who was filmed accusing a black man of threatening her, faces charges of falsely reporting an incident in the third degree, according to the DA. At this time, I would like to encourage anyone who has been the target of false reporting to contact our office. We are strongly committed to holding these perpetrators of this conduct accountable, the DA says. As you recall, Cooper was walking her dog in the park in May when she encountered Christopher Cooper, no relation, in a wooded area. Okay, so everybody remembers Amy Cooper, the Karen, the white woman who was in Central Park walking her dog without a leash or leash free. And there was a bird watcher who happened to be a black man who the dog ran up to, and he suggested, hey, you can't have your dog running around the park with no leash, it's illegal. And she proceeded to call 911 and say that she felt threatened for her life. Well, of course, we all know that from the video she has then lost her job. Don't know if she's been hired somewhere else, but more than likely. So she lost her job. However, the Manhattan District Attorney said on Monday, of course, that they have filed charges against her. The charges she faces of falsely reporting an incident in the third degree. And the DA's office also encourages anyone who has been the target of any false reporting to also contact the office. They are strongly committed to holding these perpetrators accountable. Normally what happens is people would make these false reports, the police come out, a situation sometimes would arise and sometimes not. But nothing happens to the person who made the false call. So the fact that people are being held accountable, hopefully these people will think a second or third time about falsifying a report or calling to make a complaint that's not actually factual. We'll see what kind of penalty this holds, but I mean, it's nice to see. I do hope that other citizens do call in and report, just like that time in Brooklyn. I think there was a white woman in Brooklyn. They were in a store and the little boy's backpack brushed up against her, and she accused the young man of hitting her on the behind. I think his family should go forward and file a complaint. A lot of other people should file complaints. I think no longer should we just be allowed to just let them, one, come into our areas and our neighborhoods and then act like, oh, they get to do what they want and, we just have to take it. No, we don't. And we should be reporting them and pushing the DA's office to make sure charges are filed. So we'll see how this goes. Keep an eye on this one, but it's interesting. A Jimmy John's restaurant in Georgia is reportedly fired at least 2 employees who staged a mock lynching in one of their stores. The video in the incident, which was said to have occurred in Woodstock, Georgia over the 4th of July holiday, was shared on social media. In the video, one employee places a noose made of dough over another employee's head. Both employees appear to be white. According to CBS, multiple employees were fired over the incident. Another report said that the manager was also terminated. Okay, so how I feel about this? Do I think the video is in poor taste? Yes. Do I think the video should have been done in the first place? No. Do I think it's a situation in which subconscious or conscious privilege has been exhibited. Yeah. There's no concept of thought about how anybody else would take it or how somebody else would feel about it. It's like, you think it's funny, so it's funny. Um, and, that comes with privilege. That comes with either consciously or subconsciously knowing that you have the upper hand. Whether or not they believe that or not, it's whatever it exhibits itself through your behavior, because for no one to have a second thought like, hey, maybe we shouldn't post that, is ridiculous. Do I necessarily think they were referring to Black people and African Americans? No. But I could be wrong. I mean, you only see a snippet. You don't know what was said before the actions were taking place, so you don't necessarily know. So I can't fully say that I don't think it was targeted towards Black people. But do I think it was, like I said, in poor taste? Yes. But again, it goes with the privilege. It's like there's no thought of how anybody else would take it. It's just, it is what it is. Oh, it's funny. I find it funny, so you ought to find it funny too. And I think we need to come to a different place. What behooves me of this whole thing and made me just go, is that the same dough that y'all make the bread with that you gotta make somebody sandwich with after that? That part disgusts me even more because it made me think, do you guys always do this? Like, what's next? Do y'all turn rope and double dutch with the dough and then make somebody's bread for their sandwich? So do we all have, or have we all who've eaten Jimmy John's had Kevin's hair in our, Kevin and Karen's hair and things of that nature in our sandwich bread? I mean, ill. So I don't know. It's like, but food product though, disgusting. But hey, again, it's the nature of the world we live in. When they get the okay from the top, everything else should not surprise you. If it's coming from the President of the United States, why would it surprise you when it comes from the citizens of the United States? Because, it trickles. If nothing works in trickle-down economics, this type of stuff works in trickle-down economics. When you start talking from the top, it trickles down to everybody else. So, hey, I don't know, but we'll see. Keep our eyes on this one too, and watch out for your sandwiches. That makes me side-eye Subway too. Ew. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.